Hey folks, Critical Thinker with some thoughts on genetically modified organisms. And these are the two things that I really like to harp on, GMO and vaccines. And the reason is simply because out of all the depopulation mechanisms that they've put into place, you still control what you put into your body. You still control what you put into your child's body. And if you don't think so, well then start heading west right now. When you get to the edge of the flat earth, send me a few smoke signals because I imagine the cell phone reception is going to suck. EPA and FDA, two bastions of humanity-loving agencies, that give the go-ahead for 3 types of GMO potatoes. Planting begins this year. Sounds exciting. The EPA and the FDA have given permission to Idaho-based agribusiness giant J.R. Simplot. So wait a second, there's 3 types of potatoes. So that means the FDA got $1.5 million and the EPA got $1.5 million. Expensive potatoes. Simplot says that the varieties are genetically engineered to resist the pathogen associated with late blight, the disease responsible for the Irish potato famine. The GMO potatoes are also modified to keep them from turning brown when sliced, to be resistant to bruises and black spots, and to have a longer storage life. I believe that last reason was the very first reasoning behind the genetically modified tomatoes that hit the market. I believe the tomato was the first GMO product to actually be sold. And it was laced with a cockroach gene specifically to provide more shelf life. It's all about money. The company also says that the GMO potato varieties will produce less acrylamide. Before I finish this paragraph, bear with me. A couple days ago, I did a piece on an Amish farmer who's facing 68 years in a federal prison. His name is Samuel Girard. He's 56 years old. He's a father to 12, a grandfather to 25. He was making a chickweed salve. The ingredients were rosemary, beeswax, olive oil. The problem they had, the labeling. His label read, "It cures cancer." They came in, they said, "No, you can't say that." He changed it to say healing. They came in and said, "Well, you can't say healing." He changed it to original. He's sitting in jail right now, as this is being done, this video. He's sitting in jail right now without bail for making a claim of curing cancer. The company also says that the GMO potato varieties will produce less acrylamide, a chemical thought to cause cancer when fried. This supposed advantage has prompted Simplot to make the highly suspicious claim that these are actually, quote, cancer-fighting potatoes. So wait a second. For them, it's suspicious. But for Mr. Girard, it's felonious. I know I'm not alone in loathing double standards. The 3 varieties, Russet Burbank, Ranger Russet, and Atlantic, which were previously approved by the USDA, have now been classified as safe to eat and safe for the environment. Doesn't that sound familiar? Safe and effective. Despite the testimony of the FDA's own scientists calling into question the safety of GMOs in general. Yeah, I bet you that gal or guy is sitting in a basement right now. So much for your 4 degrees. Since at least 92, which is an important date because that's when we signed into, that's basically when we became the United Nations and signed into the United Nations Agenda 21 deal. And actually, the biotech businesses were given a green light during the Reagan-Bush presidency in like 87, 88, somewhere around there. Big Agri came in, they had a meeting, and they were given the green light to do whatever the fuck they want. So since at least 92, the FDA has been lying by saying that there is an overwhelming consensus among scientists. Doesn't that sound familiar too? Climate change, anyone? An overwhelming consensus among scientists, and we know now that that's not the case. That GMOs are safe, and that there has been sufficient data to back their claim, which they never present. In fact, anything that says otherwise is completely suppressed. Steven Drucker, a lawyer representing a coalition of non-profit organizations was able to successfully sue the FDA, forcing the release of declassified documents regarding GMOs. And I will leave a link to this. We're going to scroll through, and if you haven't seen this video, you definitely should. I know if you're already hip on GMOs, I know for a fact you probably have already seen The World According to Monsanto, but it's always a good watch because there's so much information in there. It's always a good thing just to go back and watch it every now and again. So the only press on this was with this FDA, EPA approval of 3 new GMO potatoes to hit the market in the fall. The AP was pretty much the only news agency to cover anything, and basically here's their statement. This is from the AP. There is no evidence that genetically modified organisms, known as GMOs, are unsafe to eat, but for some people, altering the genetic code of foods presents an ethical issue. Do you see what they just did? That's the Orwellian doublespeak. It's saying, oh, they're safe. Ignore all the health factors. Because it's not a health issue, people. It's an ethical issue. No, it's not. No, it's not. McDonald's continues to decline to use Simplot genetically, and you know what? In their French fries, fuck you. I don't believe that. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, the eugenicist in chief, Bill Gates, sits on the board of McDonald's. The AP continues, Simplot often notes the potatoes contain only potato genes and not DNA from an unrelated organism. Organisms that contain DNA are transgenic. But according to a statement, excuse me, from the Non-GMO Project, that last sentence is highly misleading. There is a growing attempt on the part of biotech companies to distance themselves from the consumer rejection of GMOs by claiming that new types of genetic engineering are not actually genetic engineering. So let's go back for a second, because I don't understand how journalists are paid. Are they paid by the syllable? Are they paid by the amount of weighable bullshit? I mean, I'm sitting here in my office, and I have Google. There's no evidence that genetically modified organisms known as GMOs are unsafe to eat. Really? Institute for Responsible Technology, I don't know. They say otherwise. Doctors warn, avoid GMOs. Oh my God! Doctors warn, avoid GMOs. There is more than a casual association between GM foods and adverse health effects. There is causation. And again, I'm going to leave links to all this, so, go through them. This is the guy that you really need to know. Dr. Jeffrey Smith. He was, in fact, highlighted a lot in The World According to Monsanto. I've read these 2 books here, and I've watched Genetic Roulette, The Gamble of Our Lives. You need to read his work. It's all scientifically backed up. The guy, you just need to read his work. And again, I'll leave links. Iowa source. Doctors say no to GMOs because they can cause infertility and immune problems. Doctors warn, avoid genetically engineered foods. And this is, I'm going to definitely leave a link to this. These are the top GMO crops. And you got to understand that from corn, soy, cottonseed, alfalfa, papaya, canola, and sugar beets. But what you have to understand is that that's it. The corn there's so many derivatives. I mean, you try to go to your grocery store, try to find something. Everything has fucking soy. It's crazy. And there's all sorts of derivatives. I'll leave a link to this. Check it out. Anyway, just some things to watch out for this fall. Coming to a grocery store near you are 3 new types of GMO potatoes, and they are by name, if you're a potato fan, the Russet Burbank, the Ranger Russet, and Atlantic. And you better know these because they're not going to be labeled. So again, the Russet Burbank, Ranger Russet, and Atlantic. Those are my thoughts on genetically modified organisms, and there'll be plenty more as news is, makes itself, as articles come out. I'm rambling. If you like this, share it, give it a thumbs up. If you don't, I understand. Leave a comment after your thumbs down. Thanks a lot.